to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Nimesh Shah caught up with Arvind Subramanian on the sidelines of the Credit Suisse 20th Annual Asia Investment Conference in Hong Kong and began by asking him what we can expect in the near term with regard to resolutions for the big NPA mess.
You shouldn't, first of all, refer to it as an NPA problem. It's a twin balance sheet problem. Both the corporate sector is over-indebted, banks have a lot of stressed assets, and it's India's probably #1 macroeconomic challenge. The government is really acutely aware of the urgency of tackling this problem. A number of ideas have been discussed. The government is constantly looking at what it should be done. So, as the finance minister said, we are going to be taking action on this. What exactly it will be, what the timing will be, what form, that we'll see over the next weeks.
Okay. So the big challenge, what even Mr. Vinod Rai or N.K. Singh spoke to us was that the bigger challenge is going to be the issue of haircut. How much haircut to take? Who will take that responsibility? There has been instances in the past when investigative agencies have pulled up the bank CEOs, the PSU bank chiefs in the past. Is that going to be a big hurdle in terms of resolving the whole NPA issue?
I think the way that is in fact the heart of the problem. Right. The way I put it is that any democratic political system finds it difficult to write down debts which favor the private sector. Sure. Yeah. Now in India, there are two additional problems. You have to probably write down debts, not just to any private sector, but to some large private sector firms, right? If you want to recover the assets. And therefore, this is going to be, and on top of that, you have the whole, what I call the 4C challenge, right? The courts, CVC, CBI, CAG are all very active and are looking out for, some, doubtful decisions that are taken. So that's the heart of the problem. How do you get a political system to write down debts to private sector when, and remember that some of these loans were made, that should not have been made, but some were loans that were made and that turned out to be honest mistakes. Okay. So we need a way of, addressing both these kinds of problems.
You're also part of various committees which are recommending in terms of how to handle this issue. The other big thing is the idea of, or the concept of bad bank. As an advisor to the government, what is your initial take, or what is your take on this whole idea of bad bank?
Yeah, I think that I was, I'm generally associated with the idea of the bad bank because in the last economic survey we argued that this should be the way forward. So I'm in favor of it, but it's an idea that the government is considering among many other options. But I think the bad bank has 2 or 3 advantages. One is that it centralizes and brings together all the bad assets so that you can have a centralized way of going about it. Second, I think there is a greater chance of providing political cover for these decisions to write down loans with a bad bank. So I think that these are some of the advantages, but it's not a perfect solution. I mean, creating a new institution takes time. So that's a drawback of this. So we'll have to, there's so many constraints that we have to optimize within these constraints.
Sure. So the one big constraint or a critic to this whole idea of bad bank was at what price and how assets will be shifted to the bad bank. And that's where probably everybody seems to be uncomfortable. So,
but that's not a problem peculiar to bad banks. That's a problem no matter what you do. Okay. You will have to, value these loans at fair value. Okay. In fact, under the current system, that onus is mostly on the banks themselves. Sure. And they are very reluctant to do this because they think that if they do anything, that's remotely suspicious, they will be
under the lenses.
Yeah, under the lens, exactly, subject to scrutiny. So it's not something unique to a bad bank.
All right, then we'll slip into a short break.